Hey everyone, how you doing?
Great,
Good.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm back on the mainland. Selena's here.
Hello, Selena.
Yes.
Selena.
My all caps emoji girl is here. Selena, so glad you're here. And I'm glad everyone's here, but Selena hasn't been able to join us because she usually works. But great work, you guys, on your thumbnails last week. I realized after looking at all of your work that I was probably a little confusing about some things because some of you, all of you did, all of you that did thumbnails did a really great job. Thank you. Some of you did thumbnails for an entire book, like Charlene did, and some of you did thumbnails for one illustration. And that's okay. Whatever you did, it's fine. It's great. What I was asking for was thumbnails for one illustration. But if you did like a sequence of illustrations for a book, hey, great, you did it. It's out of the way. Fantastic. Now you got to choose one because we're only going to do one illustration in this course. So today, what we're going to do, Eden's back with us, by the way. Everyone say hi to Eden.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I was not off the mainland, but in a different part of the mainland. But yeah. I'm back now and happy to see everyone. And everyone's work is so great. I should have gotten through all of week 2. Sorry, I was a little belated on that, but awesome character designs.
Yeah, really great stuff. I'm liking what everybody's doing. Okay, I'm going to do a quick show and tell. Just a quick one. If you're not following me on the Instagrams, I'm going to see if I can, let me just see if I can pull up the thing that I did. Hold on. Did I share with you guys my tourist drawings last week? No?
Yes. I didn't see them, so I would like to see them, but if everyone's seen them, that's okay. No one's objected, so.
Let me go back and I'm gonna go back to manage my work. Sorry, I wanted to share this.
You drew people while you were there. Is that what it is?
Yes.
I love it.
And yeah, I have stories. I always have stories, but I have 2 little stories. Hold on one second. I'm pulling them out. All right, that should open up. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. All right. So I'm just gonna share. All right, so you guys know I was in Hawaii. And I was staying with my friend who is from California, but she lives there long enough to be an islander. Like she is a local yokel. She took me to all the sites, and she had some thoughts about all the people that are not local yokels because she's a local. So anyway, we were out and about, and we realized that people that are tourists have a certain way about them. Like it's very easy to tell if you're a tourist or not, obviously. And I was a tourist, but I was seeing the island through her eyes. So that was kind of funny. So I had said that I just noticed that people that are tourists are just kind of unaware of their surroundings. And then I said they are the unawares. And then I changed it and I said they're the unawares. So we started calling them unawares all week. I thought it was really clever, but whatever. I will share with you what I saw on the island. And basically all I did was I didn't draw any of these as I saw them. I basically just made mental notes of people as we were out and about. And then I drew them later. So that was how I had fun. Yeah, totally like Lilo and Stitch. Absolutely. And then I had to share with you the thing that totally is, I like to tell people about the embarrassing things that happen to me. So I totally ate it at the beach, and I have to share it anyway. So this was me at the beach trying to be really cool.
That's so great.
Thank you. It was just like a little wave. It really wasn't that big, but there was something about this wave that had some power, and it just knocked me off my feet. And then not only did it knock me off my feet, but it like legit rolled me in the sand and dragged my butt, and then dragged me back face down towards the sea. And it was great. And I just thought, yeah, see, this has happened to other people before, right?
Well, it has happened to me before too, and it literally took my towel too. So bye-bye into the ocean. Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. I like to make comics of the embarrassing things in my life, and because it just takes the power away from it. Instead of being, I used to be really shamefully embarrassed about things, like really legitimately embarrassed, and now I'm just like, that's a funny story.
Yeah, and it makes it so relatable, and like this is the kind of stuff I feel like a lot of indie comics are successful in, where it's just like, this is a legit slice of life.
Yeah,
like no one's a superhero, no one's, and they're like, TikTok little what's it called, bikini. It's like, this is just me eating it at the beach.
That's totally true. That's totally it. So yeah. Okay.
Well, I saw it on Instagram, and I thought, you're lucky you didn't have a two-piece on, that you were going to lose your bottom.
I was wearing a two-piece. I was, but yeah, it's a heavy duty two-piece. But yeah, that would have been an entirely different comic.
I thought I was going to see a piece of the bathing suit floating.
Oh god, no, that would have been really bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again. We're going to look at your work. I did make comments on a bunch of people's stuff. And then I also am going to make some comments on your work in class. Okay. So go through these really quick, just real brief, just to get some questions answered here. Alexandria, are you here? Yes, you are. Alexandra, can you just tell me a little bit about what your intention is for this piece, if you're able to?
Yeah, so for this piece, sorry, I'm like walking around. For this piece, my character is like a mage, and she uses fire. So the start of, like, I guess the story, she's pretty much writing her name, and introducing herself.
Oh, okay. So she's writing her name, and with like
a wand and fire magic. Yeah.
Okay. And so this piece that you're doing would be like the beginning of the story, kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. All right. So there's like one where it's kind of, look at the top. She's got her back turned, kind of a thing. Is that what's happening in the first one? Her back is turned?
In the first one, no, her back is not turned.
Oh, okay, so she's
in
facing
the third
forward.
one, I think it is, because like pretty much like the opposite perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think since it's your main character, probably better to show her from the front. I really like the bottom one that you have, where it's really bright. But it's, the only thing is that it's like kind of a three quarters of the body. And I'm wondering if there's something else that you could do to, bring that so that it's the full body, the full pose, like you have in some of those. But then it's a matter of like, how much space do you have for that illustration? So like this one here feels a little kind of stiff. It's like real horizontal and vertical. And then the text is really close to the top. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me go back. And then I like the movement of your character in this one. We just don't have the text, and we don't have anything else happening there too. So I think having some kind of fluid movement like you have in the figure there would be really great. And you just need to incorporate that with some other element in the background. Because remember, I wanted you guys to be doing like drawings of your characters within a setting. So having some kind of a setting and thinking about what that setting might be would be really nice too.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. But
yeah.
What happens within, at least I'm not sure, it's like a sci-fi, but sci-fi fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So within the classroom, there's like a testing center or whatever, like a testing booth or whatever room.
Okay.
So there's not really supposed to be much in there except for like maybe a training dummy.
Okay.
So
but she's in a classroom.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the second and fourth thumbnails are. There was like kids like are they sitting at desks or something?
Yeah, they're sitting at desks. Yeah.
I think what would be helpful is like you seem like you have the whole setting in mind in your head, and I can get it the more you talk about it as I'm looking through the panels. I think before your character goes into like her cool little bam, here's my name, it would be good if you had an establishing shot, like a aerial view maybe of what this classroom with the training dummy looks like. So like us as the viewer knows like, okay, this is where we're at. And then the next scene is her or them, whatever they are, like, and then doing all the cool magic stuff. And then that way we don't have to, get it from the close up while the action is happening. Like we already know what the place looks like, but the action's happening.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Eden, I think that's a great suggestion.
I'm kind of already like doodling, and you can, everything I say and everything I drop in the drawovers is just a suggestion. Cause like you are obviously going to know your world best, but I'm going to do like a few panels of how I think it could look a little bit more dynamic.
Thank you, Eden. Awesome. Love it. Okay. So Eden's going to work on that while I'm kind of going through stuff. All right. Let's see. I had a couple. I'm going to start from the back because last time I started from the front. Raola, are you here today? I don't know if you're here or not. Okay. So,
hello.
Hi. You are here. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so impatient. People are just like, you're not ready. I'm calling your name. Okay. So what I had said on your, let's see, your comments here. What did I say? I'm trying to like move my text around. So yeah, I said good start because you're adding background elements to the scene, but keep playing with what other background elements you could add so that your illustration is more than just the two characters and a prop. So really like what you have here that I singled out because you have like an environment, you have kind of like a foreground feeling and then a background feeling. And that feels really nice. So what I would suggest for you is kind of play around with maybe this outdoor setting that your characters are in and imagine different possibilities for how you could show them outside. So you've got some really nice kind of images here, but then how would your background in your setting look in some of these is kind of what I want you to focus on. Like this upside down V shape is really nice. This curvilinear one is really nice too. But then like where would the horizon line be? Where would the sky be? I'm just going to take a real quick, I have some already picked out, singled out, but let me go back and I'm going to close this and I'm going to close this and we're going to do this later. Sorry. Oops. I'm going to take these and group those. There we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna do some other drawovers here. Okay. All right, so real quick here, like for, this one here. Are they playing, is this a ball? Sorry, they're playing variations.
It's a Frisbee.
Okay, Frisbee, got it. All right. So Frisbee, yeah, they're totally zany characters. Let's see here. Let me go into the brush. And so maybe like with this, you could do something. This is like a horizon level, okay, like the ground, right? So when you take the ground and you add like maybe some clouds, or maybe these are trees back here. And then maybe there's like bushes here and bushes there, and just adding those few lines creates this feeling of a setting, right? And then if we were to like maybe take this Frisbee here, oops, cancel X, and see, stabilization is, and we were to like maybe make it like more like this, so it feels like a Frisbee that's being tossed like in the air. That might be something interesting to do. Okay, so then if we were to, and also when you put the Frisbee more at a like a ellipse, then it really feels like it's kind of moving in space rather than like a flat shape. Okay, so then we could do something like or let's see, I think the thing is like you really want to show this character is like just kind of getting really off the ground. So maybe like do a little thing like this, and maybe I'm just trees and bushes. Trees, there's some smaller bushes like far, far away. Maybe there's a tree here, and maybe there's another tree here. Okay, so you see what I'm doing is I'm taking visual elements, just plopping random things in places, trees, ground line, bushes, and creating visual components that will create like a border or a kind of a stop for your eye from leaving the picture plane, because now we have something that's stopping our eye from like exiting picture plane here and here. We have like a really nice, some kind of fluidity that connects this dog with this character here. And then maybe we can actually like put like a tree here. Okay, so then this creates like a border or a frame where our characters can stay, well, you know, they're like showcased. They're surrounded by a border. And then maybe move this dog so that it's not, you don't want to cut your character off, I would say here. So maybe like have his leg here, and then like this tail can kind of come up like this. Maybe his ear is more up like this. I don't know, because here's the thing, when you can convey movement in your characters by showing things dragging, hair dragging, dresses dragging, jewelry dragging, if it's like falling behind them. So like if it's up, this kind of conveys that he's kind of falling down in it's like an animation. It's the secondary, it's what we call the secondary action. The main action is like the jumping, and then the secondary action is all the other things that are like attached to them that are like kind of trailing and falling behind. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So just some things to think about. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into, let me move this here. This is for my own organization and stuff here. I'm going to move that down there. And then we're gonna, okay, we got a bunch to look at here. Okay. There's that one. Trying to close that one. Okay. Irina, are you here?
Yep. Hello.
Awesome. Okay. So tell us about your images.
So I just basically have like my character is kind of like a forest nymph. So they're moving through the forest essentially. I was on Pinterest trying to see different like settings that I could put them in.
Okay. Yeah, I really like, okay, I love these. These are really great. And I love that you're working with your black and white tone and you're creating kind of contrast with your character. And that's really a great way to begin. So some things that I really like this is really nice right here, how you're kind of setting your character in the back and by creating this kind of visual direction to your main character in the background, plus having these like elements, these vertical elements are creating like a nice border around your character. That really works nicely. And you could, depending on what you did, like you may, let's see, you may want to consider, let me talk about the thirds. Okay, there, when you get a image that you really like, the first thing is like kind of creating that visual, that picture plane. The picture plane is the edge, right? And so you've got a square format there. So the idea is to, maybe once you find one that works, really make sure that the picture plane format that you're using works best for whatever you're trying to convey. So let's just do some slight edits here. Like if we were to take more of a vertical format on there, and let's do two things. Okay, so we're just gonna, and I'm doing this just so you guys can kind of think about how you really can adjust, things like horizon level, the space between the ground and the sky, and what that does in terms of like the psychology of your image and just the feeling that it's going to produce. So if we were to like take these things here, these vertical elements here, and we lower your ground line here, which I think is really nice, but then we put her here, like there, okay? And then we have this here, okay? So what that does versus, let's say if we were to take this up and move that horizon line here, and then put some like visual elements here. And then whatever these things are.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a water serpent.
Okay, oh, water serpent. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, so like you have like a water serpent that's like kind of in the water. It's like in the water. It's kind of like, is it going towards her? Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. Oh, I see it. I get it now. I get it. Okay, it took me a while. Sorry. Okay. So see the two differences that is happening with both of these just by changing the horizon level. Like with this one, I feel like there's more epicness to it. Like there's more spaciousness. The forest is really big around her. And by the way, like your main character doesn't have to like take up the whole space in your image. And in fact, I don't want your character to take up all this space. You want to create room for, let's keep doing that. Want to create room for your setting. Whereas this one, maybe this one is nice because it really emphasizes the length of this serpent here. So depending on what you want to emphasize or your mood, you could adjust those images in those ways. Okay. Let's see. This one is really nice. I like how you have this kind of opposite V line coming, but then your character is kind of cut off. So try not to cut off your character at the leg. All right, let's try to not do that. But then we could, you know, put your character, okay, well, this is really central. What if we, okay, I'm gonna do what you have, and then I'm gonna just adjust it slightly. I'm gonna put her just central. And if you guys looked at the Molly Bang, picture this, like literally what I'm doing is what Molly Bang did in the picture of this. I'm just whittling down your visual elements to just shapes and thinking in terms of design. Okay, that's one aspect. What was I going to do? Okay, the other thing that I was going to do was, let's say what happens if we move your character to the third line. So this is designing on 1/3. And in cinematography, this is something that happens a lot where they'll put the main character or they'll use the thirds guideline to put important elements. So what if we put your character here? And adjusted this way. And I'm not sure what these things are, but see, this feels a little bit more dynamic. And we have a lot of, you have like kind of an imbalance, but in terms of where the character is, but we have a lot of negative space and a lot of positive space here. So that's really interesting. Something to consider, okay. I see how you're doing that here with creating the border on either side. Maybe consider, are these trees? These are trees. Yeah. Okay, so maybe consider adjusting some of these so you have a tree, like maybe a lower hanging branch here, and maybe have like a root here or something, but something that not only just creates a border, but something like along the vertical or the horizontal at the top and the bottom. That's something to consider. And yeah, I think the other ones are kind of nice. Like this one is kind of central. So like let's take this one here and let's adjust this character here to the thirds. And let's put that character here, just kind of like this one here, but a little bit taller. And then you have some kind of elements kind of happening here. And then I'm not sure what, but you know, you can kind of create some elements here. This reminds me of a Miyazaki painting. I can't remember which one it was. Which is the one, Howl's Moving Castle. I think that's what it is. There's a scene where they're on this hillside and there's like these big clouds. But these elements could be anything. Like these could be plants. You can have ivy. You can have like a tree, like a root, or like a tree trunk kind of a thing. This could be like an overhanging tree where you're creating some kind of foliage around her, and that's kind of creating like this this O composition within there. Okay, like you have that here. I think that's really nice. But let's see if let's adjust that one too. Let's try that. Okay. So let's see, what if we put this more all the way at the top and we make it like a T within the O. And then we have like a really low, maybe we're like looking up, okay, at this character. And you have this really nice thing kind of curving around that brings the eye in, and then you have like the foreground elements and the trees kind of thing like that. And then really clear on like maybe creating like a ground surface. Ooh, that's terrible. Let's do this. Like using kind of a 1-point perspective and having the foreground elements of the tree like really close and big, and then maybe having these trees a little bit smaller in the back. And you know, maybe there's a couple of hanging leaves down here or something. But yeah, those are, you've got a really great start on some of these. So those are some ways that I might adjust your compositions. You're welcome. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Oh, by the way, as I'm doing these, you guys, I will save them. But if you want to go ahead, I will give you a minute to do a screenshot. Okay. You want to do a screenshot. Why is that not working? Hold on one second. There we go. Okay. So sorry, I didn't do that before, but if you want to go ahead and take a quick screenshot, you can. Got it? Okay, great. All right. Thank you. And then I'll make it one last thing that I have to do. Okay. Marie, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Okay, so I really like your sketches here. So tell me a little bit about your setup.
So this was really difficult for me because I usually like have an idea in my head and I'm like, I can't do this. I have to come up. So like the bottom right was like the first, and I just basically drew the same thing over and over.
Yeah, this one right here was your first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those, all three of those. And I did want to ask you, I find myself, I think I rely too much on reference. Like I'll look up a reference photo. Mm-hmm. So I think I was getting stuck in that. But then as I started to do it and I took a break and I came back another day, as I did some of the rough ones, I started to see how, okay, I actually like how this one looks. So I saw it's like a huge benefit in like just thumbnailing roughly, because I saw like some of them were off to the side weird. And then some of them, it was like a weird tension, and some of them seemed very warm and kind of reflected what I was trying to, do in the photo. So it's obvious it's a grandmother and her granddaughter, and they're cooking together.
I love it. Okay, well, I'm so glad to hear that coming back to it and attempting it a second time and looking at it, you were able to discern that some of those images had a different feeling than others. And that even really it is just about tweaking the space and the spatial arrangement of your characters within your picture plane, like thinking about how much positive space they take up, how much negative space they take up or is taking up around them, really can change the feeling of the scene that you're creating. So these turned out really nice. I really like a lot of them. Like this is really nice here for a double spread. This gives this kind of feeling of like all the ingredients that are over here, and we see your characters here, and you were mindful of the gutter, which is awesome. I know you're thinking about that, and because you're with Children's Book Academy too. So those are all things to think about. And then I didn't talk about like leaving space for words, because I'm thinking more in terms of like, these are illustrative pieces for your portfolio. You may not necessarily have text, but if you were to include text, you would want to be mindful of where that would go. So this is a really nice place for your text placement to go. That really looks good. So another thing that I wanted to mention is like not just thinking about what is happening with the grandma and the character, but like you have like the basic setup of, the kitchen or the pot or the stove or whatever. And then here you have some kind of elements back here.
That's actually, it's my grandmother passed. I live in her house. So that's actually the house that I live in. So it's like, but yeah, I did think about that. I don't remember where I heard that, but I've been thinking about like, what does this kitchen look like? And I'm not sure if it was in this class or another class, and someone said, oh, you can build a world in Sims and kind of reference it for illustrations. Mm-hmm. So I have thought about that. Like, would I have a stove on an island or, because the majority of the story takes place in this kitchen, and I will have to be consistent in the placement of things. So
Yeah, definitely. I don't play video games, but I know that somebody else, I can't remember who it was, that suggested like building a world in Sims is a great thing, because then you literally can like move things around and stuff. But if you are building a story, where most of the action is taking place within the kitchen, then it would be important to kind of develop what the look of that kitchen is going to look like. And you can do that in terms of, rather than just building a kitchen, you want to think about like the particular moments that are taking place in your story and where they need to be. So if you know, they're at the stove a lot, and then maybe they're going to be cutting things, and then maybe they're, you know, at the fridge. So think about where your characters are going to be for your particular moments, and what moments you want to be showing, and then making sure that you have a real clear setup for your characters in each of those scenes, and then kind of building your kitchen around that, you know? So it's kind of like, instead of saying, all right, well, I'm going to make this kitchen and I'm going to like put like the sink here, and then here's the window, and then like, here's the stove, and this is like, and then maybe the fridge is here, and then maybe the table is here. And then you have, and if you're doing like a top down like floor plan, let me make this a little bit smaller. If you're doing like a floor plan of how everything is going to be, where everything is, like maybe there's some cupboards here or whatever. And like, where is the entryway there? Maybe this is the entryway here to the kitchen, something like that. Or maybe there's another entryway here, or maybe there's no entry. Maybe it's just all open. That'd be even better. We don't have any walls. Fine. And then imagine where, once you have an idea of where your characters are going to be, let's say like your characters are here, like grandma is here and the little girl is here, and you have like oops, I don't want to draw that in blue. And then maybe your grandma is going to be here, and then the little girl's here another time. And then maybe your grandma is over here at the fridge, like she's opening the fridge, and the girl's over at the sink. So you can kind of plan out like where you want them to be in terms of scenes. Like, let's say this scene, they're at the stove. So you have your grandma, and the girl is at the stove. So you got the pot here, and then you can kind of figure out, well, just like you were doing, which is the best place to show that particular thing happening. Am I going to do a top down like you have, which I think is really nice. And then let's see, if we're going to go here, like at the kitchen table, like maybe we have the grandma and the granddaughter here at the kitchen table. So you have the table here, and they're kind of like cutting things. Or, you know, think about the different places that you can go. And then like, once you've kind of gotten all this together and you figured out where your main scenes are going to be taking place within the kitchen, you can kind of figure out, well, let's see, do I want something back here? Do I want something back here in the setting? Like maybe it would be nice to have the kitchen table back here. You know, we're looking down on the grandma, and we have the stove here. So maybe we have a little bit of the kitchen table here. We see a little bit of that back here. And then you have room for the text here. And then maybe if you have the mom, the grandma, and the girl at the kitchen table here, maybe it would be better to have a window here, you know? And then if you want a window, then there, put a window in, you know, or maybe they're both at the sink. And here's the sink. Like, this is really ugly, rough and ugly, but maybe they're at the sink and there's a window there. You know, maybe you can like put some text here or whatever, but plan out not just where they're at, but like, you know, the environment around them. And then play around with what that might look like from a top-down view. And then you can kind of piece that together. And once you piece that together, then you can say, all right, this is what the kitchen looks like. And you can then really refine all of these in terms of what not only where your characters are, but what is going on in the background. Does that help at all?
Yes, tremendously. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and Alexandra, I totally did this when I was planning my graphic novel. Yeah, you especially, you do this in animation, but in a webcomic where you need consistency in a scene, you definitely want to have kind of like an environment where everything is at. And you totally are allowed to design that and develop that however you want. It's the best thing. Okay, so do you want to go ahead and screenshot it? Okay, great. All right. Let's see here. Mark, are you here?
Yes, I am here. Hello.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about this in Open Studio sessions. I love your character, and I love the and I loved your stitching on this one. I think I made notes on that in your file folder. But what I did, like, I really love this this one up at the top here. Like, I think this is really cool. So what I wanted to do is kind of show you how you could do, or how you can kind of use perspective on that. So first off, like what I see, I love, let me go back to this one here. Okay. So we have like the 1 point perspective here, and let's actually, okay, I'm going to try a couple things, just like I was doing with Urina's. I'm going to like vary the horizon line. Okay. So this one, the horizon line is kind of up here. So I'm going to do that just as you did it, but now I'm going to do one where the horizon level is lower, and I'm going to do one where the horizon level is a little bit higher. Try to avoid dividing your picture plane in half with a horizon. And you don't really think about it, but because you've got really nice vertical things happening here, and this diagonal shape, which is bringing our eye into our character here. You're not really thinking about it, but it is there. It's kind of like right in the middle. It's a little,
it's
a little.
I wasn't thinking of that. I never would have done it, but it just happened.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's a thumbnail. Like, you plan it out, and what happens in creating the thumbnails, which is why I wanted you guys to do this whole exercise, is that you create something and you go, oh, like that's really cool, but maybe I can take this and do an iteration of it. Okay. So you don't have to necessarily come up with like completely different scenarios every time, but sometimes you might come up with one and go, I really like this one, but let's see if I can adjust this in some way, shape, or form to play around with it a little bit more. Okay. So
real quick, Larissa.
Yes.
I think it's important too, like when you're creating these thumbnails, because I know me, I'll just keep erasing the same thumbnail over and over, but it's good to just leave it and move on, because then you can see like, oh, what's working in this one versus this one. So it's not even about like throwing out those thumbnails, but like using that ideation that you think you know in your head, but actually visually seeing it next to the other ones.
Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. Don't throw out or erase out what you've done. Start a new one.
And it's very tempting on digital, especially because in pencil, you're kind of stuck with like the lines you make, so to speak, or at least the ghost of it. Where digital, you can go right back to that blank white canvas, and it's like you never had that ideation.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Thank you, Eden.
Thank you, Eden. I'm sorry if I'm like kind of like going really fast today, but I have a lot of stuff that I want to get to you today. And we don't have a guest speaker today. Next week, Mira is going to be talking to you guys about portfolios, but today it's just all like content. All right. So one of the things that I had done in the Drawing for Animators and Illustrators class was I talked about using a vanishing point as the place of your focal point for your main character. And the way I did that, and that was just using like a 1 point perspective, just using 1 point perspective. So like what you do is you kind of figure out where your horizon level is going to be. And then you basically, all you have to do is just choose where your vanishing point is going to be. You put that over here. And then you draw your lines through that. These are not really going through that. Oh, let's try that again. Okay. And these are going to be all of your vanishing lines, right? Your lines that going back into space. Okay. Yeah. And literally it's just lines that are radiating through this point. But what I'm going to do is use this as my create a grid for the ground, create a grid for the sky. And these are just going to be completely horizontal lines.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not doing 2 point perspective where they're going at an angle. Okay. Now, what I'll do is then put the character, your adorable little guy in the dinosaur costume, we'll put your character here. And I'm just going to put him as a silhouette. So let's put him right here. He's walking away. Okay. I'll put him here. And if we have the horizon level low, then that means we're low. So our character is going to be like a little bit taller than us. Okay. Let's those little
eyes.
Yeah, the little eyes on the thing. And I want to make sure that the tail is kind of trailing back. Okay. Actually, I'm going to move this down a little bit lower. Little eyes, and then like have that trailing. Okay, so there's our main character. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll take this kind of idea that you have here with the stairway. All right, so how tall is this character? This character is he's a little kid, yeah? He's a little kid. So if he was a little kid, how big would the stairs be next to him? And what I'm doing is thinking about how tall your character is going to be in relationship to other things in the environment. So you have right here, this one, you have your character standing next to a fence. So he looks like he's about the same height as this fence. Great. Okay. So we can add that fence in here. Let's add that fence in here. Okay. So wherever he is, let's say he's standing right here in a line with this fence. So if he's as tall as this fence, then that means the fence would be about this tall next to him. Okay. Or we can like even put it further away from him. Let's put the fence right here. Okay. So he is as tall as the fence. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw that fence along our guidelines here. So it's going to follow, go back to the red. Sorry, I'm trying to, every time I do perspective, it gets a little dirty.
That's okay. I can see it happening when you make those lines.
Yeah. Okay. So now you see how
it comes alive.
It's coming alive.
It's coming alive. Oh my God.
Attack. So that's what the fence would look like. Now there is a way to determine how close those are going to be. And long and short of it is the closer they are to the vanishing point, the closer they are together. The further away from the vanishing point they are, the further away they're going to be. Okay. Yes. So like that one would be about there. But let's say I'm going to make this one a little bit further away. Okay.
And what I love about you showing this is like not only how, it kind of took it to the next level in visual interest, but also you created that perspective really quick. You didn't care about it being perfect. No. Not all of your squares are, perfectly aligned. No. You just need a base to get started with perspective because it can be really scary, but that's just 1 point.
Yeah, that's just 1 point. Okay. So here I'm taking the stair. Let's say the bottom of the stair is about this big.
Yes.
And then we're gonna follow these lines here. These are all going to be going to this vanishing point there. Okay. And then we are going to have this posts for the stairway, and they're going to come this way. Okay. So, ooh, this is really cool. I really, really like this. This is really nice. And we'll have like the buildings back here. We won't really be seeing the street, but we might be able to see just a portion of it. And then we might be able to see some buildings back here. But, you know, maybe we'll see some of the portion of the buildings there. Okay, so that's one. Let's now do a lower version here. So let's take him, let's put the post. He's about as tall as the post here. And then what we're gonna do is bring this out. Okay, so because this is so low, we're gonna have a lot more space happening in a very compressed distance right here. Okay. So let's do okay, we'll add the stairway. Let's add the stairway here. Okay, I'm gonna go from that point here. Okay, so we won't see all of the stair. And because be mindful of where the eye level is, because this is where the eye level is really low. Anything above the eye level, we're not going to see the top of. We're only going to see, you know, because our eye levels are right here. That's an eye. There. Okay. So that's where that would be. And then you'd have like your buildings back here. And maybe you have some tall buildings here. You can have the sidewalk ends there. Maybe you have the other buildings across the street kind of here. But what I'm also doing is I'm being mindful of creating an open, creating all this space. This is negative space that I'm going to create to allow the focus of the character be framed by all the elements around it. Okay. And then you can also do things like, okay, I'm going to put some clouds up here or whatever. Or if you don't want any clouds and you're going to have text, you can put the text right there. Yeah, that would be fun, right? Okay. Let's do this again. Now we're going to do it with the lower one here. Let's see, where is our character at? Our character is about as tall as the post. So let's put the post here a little bit further away. And then we're going to draw that. Oh my goodness, this is going to be really close. And then the maybe the step maybe here. We'll see the top of this step because our eye level is above it.
It's up here.
And here. And then we'll have this here, and then we can have, you know, the buildings back here. We're not going to see as much of the sky here, but then we'll have like the sidewalk, and then you can put like your text here.
Below.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 different ways in which you can vary that particular one. I really do like this one. I think it's really great. But maybe consider, and like I had mentioned before with, who was it? Was Irina's, the more space you have above your character, the bigger the world seems, the smaller they feel in it. Okay, especially if your character is going on an adventure. You know, maybe having something where the big wide world is, you know, they're going to explore. That would be really interesting to have that kind of space. And then maybe even like, what if you were to take that? Take that here. I'm going to copy this.
Wait, let me get a screenshot. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm not done yet. I'm going to do one other thing.
Oh, okay.
Copy, and then I'm going to paste that over here. And then I'm going to move that. Put that over here. Okay. So what if you were to take that and you were to extend that picture plane up? Sorry.
Make it a vertical.
Yeah, make it a vertical. Okay. And then you have all of these buildings here, right? Your character seems like they're really going out. You know, there's like a big expansive world that they're going to see. I don't know. It's kind of just an idea. Okay.
Well, that says it. And then that makes it, I mean, you're at the child's point of view on that one. A lot. That would be a good one to do a final.
Yeah, you know,
but I'm not showing the character. You know, that's my own issue. I love the one on the left and the right, not the middle. It's too detailed.
That's the other thing is thinking about like, what can I develop in this illustration? Like, what am I capable of creating? So sometimes that will determine the composition for you, because you're like, well, I don't know how to draw all those buildings, so maybe I won't do that kind of a thing, you know. Another one, there was another one, let's see, that I saw. It was Paul Felix, who is the Disney background designer, concept artist. I studied with him, and watching him draw was like, I guess it was like magical and amazing.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
Yeah. If you were to take this idea here and create this more of a horizontal thing where there's, you know, because that might be easier to do, you know?
Yeah, a double spread.
A double spread, you know, where he's really like going, like he's eager, and or maybe he's, you know, he's running. I don't know. But this will show the distance that he's traveled. Now, what would happen if you were to do that same thing, but put him here?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And it may not make a whole lot of difference, but let's see. This is like he's eager. Maybe this is where he has a lot of room to cover. I don't know. There's more distance between him and the page turn. So there feels like he's really going on an adventure. Maybe he's got a lot to cover. I don't know. A lot of ground to cover. I don't know. Just, you know, what's your feeling about it? That's all. Okay. So you want to do one more screenshot? Okay. All righty. Are we still all here? Everyone's still here with me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, we are. Okay, great. Awesome.
Oh, all right. Over somebody else's?
Yeah, I'm going to look at, let's see, Margaret's real quick. Okay. All right. Like, I got Lori's, Jasmine's, and Margaret's. And then I'm going to, this is really important. I want to spend a lot of time on this because I really strongly believe that you can have some really amazing drawing skills, but if your compositions aren't really strong, your images won't be as strong.
I totally agree.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I mean, it's true. It sometimes can be a slog going through, especially other people's stuff when you want to see your own. But I think I learned the most when I was watching other people get critiqued, and also when I got myself critiqued. It just helped me see it through another person's eyes, even if I know, even myself, and I'm sure Larissa feels this way, I would have never thought of taking Mark's, image to that level, but Larissa saw it. So that now made me think about my work differently. But also, Larissa, I can help you with any drawovers too.
Okay, thank you.
I dropped 2 in there so far.
Okay. Here's another one. Sorry, Mark, I just saw this. Like this one here. If you were to drop the horizon level here and have your tail for your character here, you've got some of these, like these look like dinosaur statues here.
Yeah.
That is interesting, but see how you got the top of this character's head? Like what if you were to just have, and let's see, I like that this is bordering that, but what if you were to have the top of his head here?
Oh, yeah.
And then you see him there. So he's,
right.
You know, you can have this wall that you have like into this park.
Park, yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of, remember what I was talking about? Did I already talk about this with you? Yeah. I feel like I'm repeating myself.
No, that's good. And then
Ms.
the
Nelson
museum
is missing. The artist, the author, illustrator who did Ms. Nelson is missing.
Oh, yes. James Marshall.
Yeah. You guys haven't seen Ms. Nelson is missing. That is my favorite book from my childhood. The omission of things, or just the very small showing of small detail. Like in Miss Nelson is missing there, the kids are terrible to Miss Nelson. She's a very sweet teacher, and all of her kids are terrible. And then she goes missing one day, and they get a new substitute teacher, and she's like a witch, and she's really mean to all the kids. And all the kids are so glad to have Miss Nelson back that they're so nice to her. And at the very last page, you see Miss Nelson just is really happy with herself. And you see her in her house, and in the closet or something, there's like a little black wig, because the teacher who took over the classroom was like this black haired witch kind of a thing. So then you see like the black wig, and and Miss Nelson needed a mental health day. Totally.
The kids were always way nicer to me when I came back.
That's really right. That was what you experienced too.
Yeah. Well, because they were like, "Where were you? We missed you." And I'm just like, see, I am cool.
See, you guys should be nice to me because I'm so awesome, right? All right. So
Larissa, is there a time limit you want me to kind of cut you off per critique?
Yeah, I'm gonna do, just stop me at 4:10.
You got it.
I'll make sure. Thank you. I want to make sure I get through these. Jasmine, are you here?
Yes, yeah, I am.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Can I share how I know you?
Sure.
I know Jasmine because I'm friends with her mom. Her mom's my Avon lady. And also I've known Jasmine since she was a little girl. Our daughters were in playgroup together. Anyway, I'm so happy to have you here, just to embarrass you a little bit. I'm glad you're here. And I love this setup you have. Your OC Orion is discovering his love for drums, ultimately leading him to join a band and make a lot of friends. Okay, so I think like what is the most important aspect of this scene is how your character is falling in love with the drums. So what we're really gonna want to see, we really want to see his face and his emotions, right? But we also want to see the drums. So how do we set that up? So I think like what you have here is really nice, because you're able to see both the drums and the character. But I also really like this because we have this on the side, but maybe consider not having your character here, but maybe your character here. Now, this poses some problems because then it's like, oh, well, is he in the audience? Is he in the crowd? Then I have to draw all those people. I don't want to draw all those people. Like, I really don't want to do all those things. So then you start thinking, like, what's the cheat? What's the way that I can show this character that is at a concert, but is in love with the drums? So I think, maybe in the front of the stage might be fun. But I think if you were to maybe, let's see, consider some things to consider. Okay. I wanted to put this on a new layer. Okay. So some things to consider. Let's see, and I'm just going off the hook, off the cuff. What if you did like this view here, like a kind of a profile of your character here. Okay, and that way you're in the audience, right? And then maybe there's a character here And I don't know if you've ever been to a concert, but sometimes if you're like in the front row, they have these things here, but
probably, like the railings.
Yeah, the railings, right? Keep the fans from climbing on top of the stage or whatever. Or it could just be your character could be right there by the stage, and then you can have like the drums here, and then the guy is here. But then this would be like a low POV where you would have the drummer here, and maybe he's like, oh, let's change this. Maybe he's got like his arms out here, and he's like doing that like moment like right before he hits the drums, right? And then you can have like some light over here. And then maybe you have, let's see, would there another character here? Maybe there's, I don't know. Let's put another character here. And you really, I don't know, you could probably get away with like adding additional characters like beside him. You know, there wouldn't be this much space next to you if you were in the front row. You know, you would be crowded, but maybe just for, you know, it's a story, it doesn't have to be logistically right. You could create this space where you're seeing this kind of profile, but you're seeing more of your character. And then you're seeing more of a kind of a close-up of the drummer from that perspective.
And you could do a lot of great things with lighting too, because you're at like a concert. So you could have it like mainly on your character and the drummer, and everything else is kind of, you know, not so detailed and fuzzy. And I was going to say, Larissa, you could just do like somebody's top of the head if you wanted to like fill that gap.
Oh yeah. Like this here. But yeah, you like number 10. I like number 10 too, because that is showing the, yeah, you'd have to get a really good
it would be hard, but it would be worth it if you could find the right angle, because I like that it's like we're looking down on him and we get to see his awe. Like maybe you don't even see the full back of the head of the drummer either. You just see like the fact that it is drums, and he's like, oh my gosh.
Or yeah, oh my God, what if you just saw like the drums? Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
We're approaching 410.
Thank you. Okay. You can like draw the dude here, and then you can have like a couple people here. And then like, this is like the back of the drummer, and these are the drums. And I don't know how to draw a drummer, but you know, that would be like the back of him.
He has like bongos.
Like bongos or something. I don't know. Oh my God. Okay. I'm running out of time. I promise I will do your draw overs, Margaret and Lori, after class, but I want to make sure I have enough time for content.
Next week we'll have very scheduled critiques, so yes, we can definitely like boom, boom, boom.
I did get really excited and I just kind of jumped in, but Jasmine, you want to go ahead and get a screenshot of that?
Yeah, I'm taking one right now.
Okay.
And I was gone for the past 2 weeks. I was out of town. I had submitted last week's assignment the other day.
Oh, okay.
The character design one.
Yeah.
I uploaded that one.
Okay, awesome.
Because I'd missed it last week.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad you are here with us and catching up. Okay. All right, you guys ready? You ready for some major golden nuggets?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yes.
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 Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Mm-hmm. Slideshow. Okay. Escape. All right. Here we go. On that slide. Oops. Let's do slideshow. Hey, how do I do this? There we go. Okay. Creating compelling illustrations, understanding the why and the how. All right. So why are you making your illustration? That's the main thing. Why are you making it? What is your reason for making it? What is happening in your illustration? What is happening with your character? What is the moment you are trying to convey? What feeling is your character experiencing? Where are they going? What is What is happening to them? What's the sitch? What's your why? Okay. That's the important question I want you guys to be asking about your illustration. Okay. So why are you making it? What are you trying to say with this image? Who is this image about? What impact are you trying to make? Yes, I did say what's the sitch. What is this about your own feelings or experience? If you are familiar with the experience or the feelings that your character is experiencing in this illustration, are you conveying that? Can you convey that in a really believable way? I think it's really great when you can infuse your own feelings and your own experience into the art, because you have a personal connection and it's relatable. And if it's relatable for you, then it's most likely going to be relatable to other people. Like literally when I shared my beach, me getting destroyed by waves on the beach, like other people, like even in this class, are like, yep, that's me. Yeah. So how can you take your own experience and your own feelings and put it in your art? Okay. That's a good thing. I love the book Art and Fear. I would definitely recommend reading it, but there's a little quote. Vision, uncertainty, and knowledge of materials are inevitabilities that all artists must acknowledge and learn from. Vision is always ahead of execution. Knowledge of materials is your contact with your reality, and uncertainty is a virtue. So your vision, this is the whole like disconnect that I see with artists, young artists, especially when they have this vision and they can't execute it because their skill set doesn't quite match their vision. And that's okay. I want you to be aware that that is a definitely real place that artists live in, right, Eden? That we all live in. But the more you become aware of your materials, the better off you'll be. Okay. But also in uncertainty is just part of the process. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about like the difference between fine art versus illustration. And the reason why is because I want to make sure that you're understanding what really illustration is. Okay. So fine art is basically designed by an artist. And the whole point of fine art is to just exist. It just is, right? The reason why an artist creates artwork is because of the process of creating it. It's made for self-expression. It also doesn't have to make anybody happy but the artist, which is a really awesome thing. And usually fine art is one of a kind. Like if you're painting on a canvas, you know, it's one of a kind, right? Thank you, Eden, for dropping that link for Fear and Art in the chat. Illustration is different because you're using like your skills as a fine artist. You know, you might have skills as a fine artist, but the reason for illustration is it is actually communicating an idea. Okay. You are visually communicating an idea, a thought, a philosophy, a theory, or whatever. Usually there's going to be some kind of human interest in it, like a character or an animal or something that's going to be interesting to the viewer, right? It's not just about like a vase. Or a still life or rotting vegetables or whatever. It's usually going to have some kind of a human interest in it. And it's usually created in service of a purpose, like to sell something, to inform someone about something, to tell a story, to inspire, to motivate. And it's usually created for reproduction. So we are doing this all digitally. Obviously, this is a digital illustration class. You will be able to reproduce your artwork in mass quantities. It's not about making a one of a kind, but it is, how do we make it unique? We make it unique by what it is that you're trying to say. All right. What did you say? A lot of people give this to graduating art students who have a hard time making art post school. Oh yeah, that book for sure. That book for sure is, if you are a, actually, yeah, if you're an artist and you are, that's a great book to have in your library. I read it. I need to go get it in my library again. Okay, so basically what I need you to know is that illustration should communicate an idea, and you need to know what your idea is, all right? Norman Rockwell, this painting I love. Okay, what is the idea behind this? What is happening? What is conveyed in this particular illustration? I'm going to open it up to anybody.
It's when the, I forget what state, obviously down south, when they desegregated, they had to come back to school. They went to school, yeah.
Segregation. All right.
Yeah.
So this image is conveying an idea. It's also conveying a feeling. It's conveying a moment of time, historical moment of time. It's conveying a point of view. Okay. Look at how it's done in the, let's just break this down visually, elementally. Contrast. Ruby Bridges in a stark white dress, surrounded by 4 adult men who are creating like a border or a frame for her. We have a lot of negative space. We also have another secondary item of interest, the tomato. And then we see across the word scrawled at the top. Okay, so this, and then not only that, we're seeing other details that are important to the storytelling that is happening here. U.S. Marshals, we see the armbands and we see the badge. We see what it takes, what it took to make to end segregation. We have all these things that are happening. These are visually important to the context of the story. Okay. What's the difference between a portrait and an illustration? A portrait is just a portrait. An illustration is conveying an idea. What do you think is being conveyed by this Anita Kuhn's portrait on the right?
Freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
Speech.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that. Yeah, very, very well. We have, now look at the way the lighting and shading is done on this. It's beautiful. I love the way Anita Kuhn's paints. She does a lot of watercolor. It's all dry brush. It's very kind of ambient lighting, but she's still telling the story in a realistic way. But the concept of the shoestrings around, oh yeah, she's an incredibly nice woman as well. Were you here? Were you there at LCAD? Sorry, aside tangent. Were you there at LCAD when she came?
Yes, I did. And I did a project on her and I got to show it and she liked it. So I felt proud of myself, but she is really, really awesome woman who, yeah, I mean, she broke through a lot of those, barriers of the illustrative world. And I mean, her work's been featured all over. Definitely check out her portraiture is really good. And she has a lot of political work if you like political art.
Yes, she has a lot of really amazing illustrative portraits.
Yes.
They are all saying something. Absolutely. Yeah, Shannon also conveys that pain and emotional twisting that comes from not being able to speak. Absolutely. But yeah, and you can kind of put your own take on it too, because of your own perspective. Like maybe you felt like you've been unable to speak, and this is maybe what you feel like. You can relate to that. Okay. All right, so how do we make impactful illustrations? Where am I at time? 4:20. Okay. The art should serve the story. So what part of the story are you exploring in your particular illustration? What do you want the reader to understand about the character at this point of the story? What important incident is happening at this point in the story? These are things that you should be asking yourself. So when you are visually telling your story, you want to figure out in terms of making your art, which elements are crucial to telling that story, which are secondary and which are tertiary. Okay, so that means like the most important thing is like the one thing that's the most important in that Norman Rockwell painting is that Ruby Bridges is walking and she's being escorted by U.S. Marshals. What is the secondary thing that's important is to show the hatred that was happening to her. And how did he do that? Just with a simple tomato that was hit on the wall and fallen on the floor, as well as the scrawling of the word behind her. Okay, so you see the context and what that's happening. So think about think about how you can layer not just the main thing in your character story, but maybe other things that might be important to your story as well. You may not have a secondary and tertiary thing that are happening, but if you do, make sure that they're servicing your story. Okay, So this is my favorite artist ever, Kadir Nelson, and this is from the Abraham Lincoln book. And in this one, I wanted to show because the composition is L-shaped, okay? We are leading our eye into this. Can you guys see my mouse?
Yes, I can.
Okay. This man is looking down here, okay? Uh-oh, my internet connection is unstable. If I pop out.
You're back now.
Okay, good. We have an L shape here. We have an L shape here. Notice how we're looking at his gaze. It draws our eyes here. We have another vertical format here. You can see where the gutter is right here. There's text on the other side of this page, but here, then look, we're looking down, we see the cotton. Then notice we have a baby on the back of this woman. And then notice the last thing we see is the slave master on the horse. So all this is happening underneath the sun, the blazing hot sun in these conditions. So there's a lot of things happening in this image. Look at the direction, just the simple direction of these two cotton plants here. This is directing our eye to her. This one is directing our eye to him. This one is also kind of framing and hiding this character back here, whereas this baby is also looking in that direction. The vertical stripes of her scarf are leading our eye there, okay? Really start picking apart the visual elements that are guiding your eye in imagery and start planning that in your own. Okay, this is Aaron Becker's journey. Main important thing, this character right here. This is kind of on the one-third line here, top third here. We have the secondary character here. What's important? They just escaped. They escaped from this cage and they are free. This is beautiful. If you've never seen any of Aaron Becker's books, they're all wordless and they're gorgeous. It's like my dream to do that someday. All right, I'm going to go over the 7 keys to great paintings. This comes from the book by Jane Hofstetter, literally called 7 Keys to Great Paintings. We're going to talk about pattern, focal area, make sure I have enough time, design, emotional depth, passage, color, and the golden mean. These are all different ways that you can create great paintings, but I think you can also use these in service of illustration. Pattern. Okay, I showed you guys this illustration already. Thinking about pattern and how you can use pattern with, I can't remember the name of this artist. I love him so much, but I can't remember his name. The way he uses the pattern in his subject matter, in his illustrations, you can see the pattern in the bird. You can see the way that the pattern is on the ground, in the trees. Pattern of value shapes, and this is a pattern of value. So in terms of pattern of value, you're looking at also light and dark. Okay, so we talked about this before, how there's a lot of negative space around here. We've got mostly light around her, and then there's a pattern of lights and darks that are happening throughout this image that draw our eye to that focal point. So learn how the sizes and arrangement of light and dark shapes can set up your painting for success from the start by creating the contrast of lights and darks to emphasize the focal point. We'll talk about that later today, okay? Using black and white, and we talked about that last week. We talked about this one again too. Passage. The passage is basically where your eye travels. Does it travel effortlessly through your illustration? Use a number of passage devices to make connections and transitions among the parts for a stronger whole. How do you do that? You use rhythm and movement, positive and negative shape and line to direct the viewer's eye around the painting. So we have basically, and I explained this to a student of mine the other day, all rhythm is movement, but not all movement is rhythmic. It's like dancing. Dancing is movement, but not all movement is dance. So rhythm is kind of the way that your eye flows through the image. And movement is kind of the way that your characters are, you know, kind of depicted in a feeling of dynamic movement, I would say. I mean, there's probably a different way to look at it. But positive and negative shapes. We talked about this last week or last time. Look at the negative space around the characters, making sure that they have clear silhouettes. Looking at the way the positive shapes are, this arm is directing our eye up here, which is directing our eye to this paintbrush. We have this kind of diagonal happening, as well as this character here, which is diagonal, which is drawing our eye here. We have this huge vertical kind of, or horizontal diagonal element, which is framing our eye to stay within the picture plane here. We have other vertical elements on the side here, and this big vertical horizontal thing here, the canvas, which is keeping our eye within the picture plane. And at the same time, my eye is moving throughout. So think about how you can add elements to your illustrations to keep the eye interested in the illustration. Focal point. How do you create a focal point? Using contrast through color, value, or complexity versus simplicity. Okay, so here we have color, the red door. And the other one that I showed you before, the red of the carpet, where she was flying with the bird. There's color, there's contrast. You want to make sure that you're catching your viewer's eye every time with your focal point. And you can do that by using contrast with color or value or complexity. Colors, your use of colors. When you're using colors, you want to make sure you're creating using colors in an intentional way to create either relationships or harmony, or to create emotion. You can manipulate color mindfully for maximum results. This always creates a chance of creating harmony and emotion in bold or subtle ways. All right, design is just basically taking everything and organizing it in a way that makes it powerful, okay? So design is you learning the skills to arrange things in a powerful way that makes your painting work, right? Thinking about emotions. How can you use emotions to create a mood? Whether you want something to read as subtle and sad and soft, or bold and intense. The type of colors you use, the type of shapes you use, the type of composition you create will help enhance those feelings, okay? I'm gonna drop this in the Google file folder. This is a wheel of emotions. I use this every illustration. I try to figure out what emotion that I'm trying to show. Now, the inside are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, there's 7 here. Basic emotions: surprise, bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad, happy. And then the next ring out are more nuanced, and the next ring out is even more nuanced. If you can choose which emotion you are trying to convey with your image, you can then use all of the elements of art and principles of design in service of creating that mood. And your job as the illustrator is to figure out what elements of art and what principles of design you're going to use to do that in the most successful way, okay? So determine what emotion you're trying to convey with your illustration. And you should have an emotion. If you have an emotion that you're trying to convey in your artwork, it's going to create that connection with your viewer. What's the mood and how is it conveyed in this Tony DiTerlizzi illustration? Anyone?
It's very creepy.
Yes, it is very creepy. Yes, sinister. Thank you. How is that being conveyed in terms of just the elements of art? Line, color, value, texture, form.
It's mostly the value here. It's like mostly dark. Like the brightest brights are like literally like the candles here. Mm-hmm. The spider, arachnid bug.
Yeah, it's a spider.
Really dark here.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, I think Also, some of the darkest darts are in contrast to the lights here with like, I think the candle holder. The expression, oh wait, I don't know if that counts as elements of art.
Yeah, that works. Mary
But
says
yeah.
the waiter overwhelmed by his size, the woman at the other end of the table. Proportion, that would be proportion.
Yeah. Proportion, yeah.
I was going to say the lines and proportions are all a little weird. They're all a little unexpected.
Which
makes it feel kind of sinister and creepy.
Yeah, totally. So this is the book, The Spider and the Fly. Oh. And it's a great book. It's beautiful, sinister and creepy. You should know that it doesn't end well for the fly. It's kind of a dark book. No color, only value. Very dark. It's dark value. It's very, very dark. There's not a whole lot of lights. If you were to key this on the light scale, there's like no white in this at all. Maybe there's a tiny little bit of fleck of white on the fly's glove over here, but most of it is reading in the dark values. So that is really conveying that. And then not only that, you have these just creepily drawn things. You got this sinister looking expression on this spider's face. She's trying to serve her like other insects, like for dinner. She's like, no, I don't want to. I'm good. Thanks. What is the mood and how is it conveyed? This one's kind of a funny one.
So large, the huge shape on the right is very scary, and the little shape is kind of laughing. Almost looks like it's laughing.
Yeah.
So it's trying to scare, but it's not accomplishing that because the colors are very appealing.
Yeah.
They're not scary colors, it seems.
There's, Tawny said it's whimsical. Yeah. The colors are really bright and bold. You have this lion. The subject matter is a girl, like I guess it's at the zoo or whatever, looking at this lion. I love David Catrow. This, the nature in which the rhythm, the movement of this character and how it's kind of really exaggerated over here. And then you've got this, look at the character, look at the slight highlight around, there's a slight highlight around the character. The red and white stripes on the collar, very bold, also connects to the red balloon of her dog. I don't know, very funny. Just really bold, very Ed, Ed, and Eddie, totally. Looks like the lion is scared of the balloon, which looks like an eye. Oh yeah, looks like an eye. Okay. This is my other favorite artist, David Shannon. What is the mood and how is it conveyed? I don't know why I chose this one either. I think it's just like randomly pulling things. This one is from A Bad Case of Stripes. Okay. By Jasmine. Yeah, I feel like I'm being judged, right? Yeah, there's just kind of like a, oh my God feeling. Yeah, what's happening is the character in this moment is like overcome with like all these icky things, and the doctors are like looking at her like, oh my God, yes, exactly, like being judged. Just kind of a creepy way. The way people look at you when you sneeze. Totally. All right, I'm gonna move on. Okay, describing the action in your illustration. That's what I want you to do. And Margaret actually wrote this. This is why I chose your illustration. I'll work on it later. But using a verb and an adverb. The verb is the boy stood. The adverb is how did he stand? Quietly. Okay. The girl and her dog ran is the verb. Happily is the adverb. The adverb is the way that the verb is happening. The monster ate ferociously. The girl danced energetically. The creature sailed bravely. These are sentences that you can use in describing your action that will help you show what's happening in your scene and also maybe the emotion that you're trying to convey. Okay. What's your homework? This is your homework. Okay. So you're going to take your chosen thumbnail. You're going to choose one of them. Okay. From last week's assignment. And you're going to plan your finished illustration by answering the following questions. This is a pretty heavy week. Okay. What's the main idea of your illustration? If you were to describe the illustration in a sentence using the verb adverb setup, what would you say? Who is the main focal point, or what is the main focal point? What is the mood or main emotion that you're trying to convey with this illustration? The next is, what art elements, remember, those are the ingredients, will I use in service of the idea and the mood? The recipe is the principles of design. What principles of design will I use to strengthen the idea and the mood? Okay. You're going to be creating a style guide. Now, this doesn't have to be the style guide that you use forever. It's just going to be a style guide that you're going to use for this particular illustration. Okay. You're going to look at your first week's assignment. Remember, I made you guys like pull out illustrations of artists that you like and figure out the elements you want to incorporate. So I want you to start looking at that. I want you to begin to visualize what elements of art you want to intentionally incorporate in your work, okay? What is the one art element that you can incorporate? Okay, let me rephrase that. Let me restate that. What is the one art element that you can incorporate in your work that you are currently not utilizing to full potential? So choose one that you want to do and that you can do, okay? And you're gonna work on doing that, okay? Now, what is the one design principle that you can incorporate in your work? So for instance, let's say you wanna incorporate more delicate line art and more value, or more harmony in your work. So you're gonna write those down and you're gonna think about how you can incorporate those things. So this is why I'm saying we're talking about how to use intention by knowing what you like, identifying what it is that you like in work, identifying what you like in your own work too. I didn't even mention this, but you wanna make sure that you're using and playing off of your strengths, okay? So you don't have to make up something completely new, but you want to look at how, I forget the guy's name, Cleon, he wrote the book, Steal Like an Artist. You're stealing a style, a bit, a tiny bit, an element of it that you like, that you can incorporate in your work, okay? You're gonna create a checklist and you're gonna add these to your checklist. Okay, so this is my checklist I showed you before, listing it again. You're gonna basically create a guideline or a checklist that you can kind of create with intention and use that as your guide for kind of planning your illustration, okay? I have at the bottom of my thing, go for extraordinary, all right? Yes, thank you, Eden. I forgot to mention that. I totally was gonna drop some style guides, like literally in the animation industry, this is how shows stay consistent in their look and their aesthetics. There are style guides that the showrunners will create along with the developers that say, these are the kind of colors we use. These are the kind of lines we use. These are the kind of shapes we use. This is the kind of language we use to create consistency in the look of the show. And you're just doing this with a little bit of intention. Is it possible to get more examples of these in the resources? Yes, absolutely.
Also, Pinterest is a really great resource. We can drop some in the folders as well, but Pinterest, I just have a board of other people's style guides.
Will you just drop your link to that will suffice.
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. I will also put some stuff in the folder as well for people who don't have Pinterest, because I know Pinterest is very like, you must join to look.
Oh, it's such a big black hole of despair for me. I literally was on Pinterest like before I was looking for illustrations, and it just makes, what does it do? Okay, you guys, we were meant to live in tiny tribes. And we were not meant to like have access to the entire world's abilities and knowledge and everything. And when you are constantly looking at Pinterest or Instagram, you see how capable other people are, and it can really get you down. Like I even go on there and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so awful. So I try not to do it too much, because we end up comparing ourselves to other people. And remember to only compare yourself to your past, not to other people. So all of this is to say, you're creating with intention, but I still want you to remember to create with joy. So you're not trying to like pigeonhole or force anything that doesn't work for you, that doesn't feel good, that hurts, that is hard, that is painful. Like if you say, I'm always going to paint with form and value and texture, and you just have a hard time doing it, then don't do that to yourself. Make sure that you're doing something that you're intending to do that is fun to do. Like I love making curvilinear lines in my artwork because I love the way it feels to draw a curvy line. And I love to connect things in my artwork. And I love shading. I love light and dark, and I love intense colors. So those are the things that I do. And that's what bring me joy. So, but the idea is by planning all this out and knowing what you enjoy doing, it'll help make your work a little bit stronger. Okay. This is a quote from Pablo Picasso. Our goals can only be reached through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. There is no other route to success. So even creative types like fabled master of modern art Pablo Picasso knew that inspiration is only a small part of any effort. The creative process is one of planning, failing, and planning anew. But those plans are rooted in a belief that they will work. Without that faith, there is no plan that will clear the hurdles that block the progress of any project. And by the way, my goal for you in this class is to create something new and exciting and extraordinary that you've never done before. But just because you make something in this class doesn't mean that that is your style. You are continually building and working on your own style. You're continually building and working on your own skill set and creating new pieces. In fact, what I hope that you do is from this class, that you create something that you weren't thinking that you were capable of doing. And then that opens up your eyes to even more ways and directions that you can take your work. Okay. All right. Last quote from Art and Fear. In large measure, becoming an artist consists of learning to accept yourself, which makes your work personal, and in following your own voice, which makes your work distinctive. So it is in getting in tune with what do I like and what do I don't like, and accepting that. That's going to make your work look distinctive. Okay. The only work, this is the last quote, the only work really worth doing, the only work you can do convincingly is work that focuses on the things that you care about. To not focus on those issues is to deny the constants in your life. So obviously you're doing stuff that you like. Remember your why. Use the ingredients of art to serve the why. Okay. All right. So I've got 15 minutes and I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you what I mean. We're going to share a screen again. We're going to go here. Okay. All righty. Okay, so what we've got is, we're going to look at these things. So this is, whose is this? This was somebody's. Destiny?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, this is yours. Okay, so we did this first exercise, and I got you guys, trying all these different styles and stuff. And I wanted to kind of go over like in the next 15 minutes, like how I would like make adjustments on these. And I have some other illustrations on the side. Thank you, Eden, for dropping the Pinterest link there. All right. So here we go. Where is that? I'm gonna move this here. Okay, move that there. All right. So bright colors, we have medium, line, limited texture. So I've got some illustrations on the side that I'm going to just kind of pull elements from and look at as inspiration for your own pieces here. So bright colors, let's see here, medium, line, limited texture. So this one, I'm going to look at this one here for that. All righty. So I'm going to take this here.
I can't see the screen.
Oh, you're not seeing my scene?
No. It says has started screen sharing.
All right, so let me do it again.
Connecting, I think.
Can you see it now?
I can see it now.
Okay.
Oh, I don't. Maybe it's me.
Oh yeah, maybe look on the top of your like view.
View.
See, yeah.
Oh.
When you're looking at the view, there is a view where you can do like gallery view or maybe switch.
For some reason, other people are saying they can't see it now. Yeah. Can you spotlight this? Is it not spotlighted?
Hold on 1 second. Let me share it again. Share screen. That's weird. And maybe I'll turn off my video.
I can still see it.
You can still see it. Who can't see it? Anybody?
I can't. And
Sarah could see it.
Sarah, can you see it?
And Margaret could see it.
That looks fine to me.
Selena can see it. Roberta still can. Ariana can see it.
I think
there's a loading circle. Okay.
Might just be your connection, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. All right. Okay. I gotta move on.
Yeah, move on.
Okay. But like work with messing around with your view on the side. Oh, maybe Margaret said maybe leave and join back.
Oh, let me try that.
Yeah. And then Eden, if you could let him in, that would be great.
If you made me co-host again.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, my computer.
That's okay.
Crashed halfway through, which is why I'm keeping my webcam off just in case.
Okay. Yeah, let's see.
Nothing like technology problems.
Love it. Okay, you are co-host.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So what I was going to do here. Oh, there he is. Okay, it says participants can now see my screen. Okay, can you see it, Mark?
Yes. Oh, yay.
Woohoo!
I can see it.
Awesome. All right. So bright colors, medium line, limited texture. All right, so let's do this. I keep doing this. All right, we're gonna use the selection. I'm using the selection tool, and I'm gonna, let's see here. Bring this over here. Oh, let's put this. Where is this? Top. Okay. All right, I'm using the on my pen. On my pen, I have a little button. I don't know if you have an iPad, you probably don't have a little button, but if you're using a stylus with a button, I'm using the button and I click on in Clip Studio, I just push down and it gets me the eyedropper right away. All right, and then I'm going to use the lasso fill. Actually, I'm already in lasso, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to lasso fill that. And then I'm going to take this color and I'm going to lighten it up. And I'm going to do this. Okay, bright colors. We're going to use bright colors. Okay, well, I didn't use bright colors, but let's see. Medium line, limited texture. There's not a lot of texture. Okay, let's do this. We're going to choose a lighter color here. So I'm going to use the light. And I'm going to choose this color here for the cat. And let's do this. And let me I'm going to switch to Bit Husky here. It's going to be really flat. Bright colors, medium line. We're going to use oh, that's a weird place for the tail to be. Let's put okay. Okay. And let's take this color here. And that looks now, it looks like a fox. Okay, the legs are back there. All right, medium line, let's take the medium line and let's take we're gonna play with Bit Husky and limited texture. Okay, let's take this color here and actually let's do bold. You said medium line, so well, let's make it black. I think I really like the way that bold line looks. It reminds me of Lucy Cousins, who did some illustrated books. Okay. She did, I think, what is it? Not One Fish, Two Fish, but
Maisie books? The Maisie books?
Yeah, Lucy Cousins did Maisie books. Okay. All righty. I'm going to do something with the light here. Okay, so in terms of like the limited texture, let's see. What I can do here with the texture is this. I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool. Magic Wand tool is going to select all of that. Now to create texture, what I'm going to do is on a new layer, I'm going to take a new layer and I'm going to choose another brush. I'm going to choose another brush that has some kind of texture to it. Let's go to, I need to get more brushes. Mira is always telling me to get more brushes. Let's go to, I don't know, let's try the Wet Bleed Blender. And I'm going to try this. No, let's try, that's not it either. Let me try. Oh, let me try this one. This one's interesting. Oh, that's fun. Okay. It's kind of like a cross hatching thing. I'm going to lower the opacity on that. And I really don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to try and kind of create some texture on there. Now, I can lower the opacity on there and have subtle texture on there, right? And this is on a new layer, okay? I can do the same thing to the bottom part here. I can do use my lasso. Sorry, I'm gonna go to this. Let's deselect that. You can create texture in different ways by creating a texture on top of another layer and then lowering the opacity. And you can use any kind of brush you want. You can even pull, I'm gonna pull texture from another thing here, I think. I'm gonna use the lasso or the Magic Wand tool, select that, it's selecting it all. And I'm gonna go on that other layer again. So I'm using my flat colors to select, and I'm gonna make sure on the lasso or the wand tool, it's on plus. I'm gonna add these little bits to the selection there too. I'm gonna go back onto that layer and I'm gonna choose another color and I'm gonna go back to that brush and I'm gonna create some texture there. If I put too much, I can switch to clear, which is the black and which is the checker. And now it's using it as an eraser. Anytime you want to use an eraser, You can do that in Clip Studio. You can do that in Photoshop with the tilde key. This is one way of creating texture, but reducing it. Okay, and I just pulled the bright colors from there. All right, so now I'm going to do some lighting and shading here.
All right, Larissa, can you repeat what you just did? You used a brush as an eraser by choosing transparent?
Yes, yes, over
That's
here.
Cool.
You can choose, this is a game changer right here.
Yeah.
You don't have to use the regular eraser. You can use your brush.
That's brilliant.
Use it as an eraser right there. Okay. Oh my God, I only have 3 minutes. Okay. Lighting and shading. All right, here, I'm going to do something really quick. I'm going to, let's say I like, let's do this. Real quick, I'm going to do what I usually do, which is I'm going to create an overlay layer. Okay. I've done this before. I'm going to do it again, and I'll have more tricks for you next time. I'm going to create an overlay layer here, or maybe overlay here. Okay, this is going to be my light layer. Light. Okay, light. Okay. And on my light layer, anytime I paint on here, it's going to be lighter. I'm going to go back and use an airbrush soft. See how when I use on the overlay, I'm just using like this light blue and everything becomes lighter. Okay, that's gonna be how I'm gonna paint my light in. All right, and I can choose a color. I can choose like a light blue color, and that'll make everything lighter. So the light's gonna come in, and you guys already know something like this. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're putting light in, and that you're also being mindful of the form. Okay, so if this cat is in the light, only part of it's going to be lit. Not all of it's going to be in the light. And then maybe I'll have a little bit of the light over here. But not the whole cat is going to be lit, only part of it that's in the light. Maybe you have this shadow here. Okay, now we can lower the intensity of that here in the opacity here. Okay, now I'm going to create shadow. I'm going to go to multiply in the blending option layer. Okay, actually, sorry, I'm going to make a new layer. Sorry, new layer. Select that to multiply. Multiply. And on that layer, I'm going to choose a dark color for my shadow. And this one I'm going to have to blue. And multiply, what multiply does is basically it acts like a gel layer. You can see through it. Okay. So by choosing a darker color, I'm actually going to use, up here is the delete key. I'm going to delete everything on this layer right there. I don't need anything. So I'm going to choose this darker color and paint in the shadow using this blue. And I'm going to paint in the shadow down here. Okay. And
so, Larissa, we are almost at 5. Do you just want to briefly say like the homework again in just like layman's terms as a refresher?
I will. Thank you. Okay, so the homework is, let me go back to your thing real quick before we go. Thank you for keeping me honest on my time, Eden. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
And you see the style guide and the homework assignment?
Yeah. Okay,
so I'm going to stay another minute or two, but your homework is to, again, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Share my screen. Okay, so your homework is to take your thumbnails, one of the ones that you did from last week, that you want to use as your chosen illustration, and you're going to use that in terms of what you want to do moving forward with it. Okay. Oh my gosh. You're going to write all these things down, address these things in how you want to move forward with your illustration in your chosen thumbnail. And I didn't even talk about this, but I'm going to have to do another video because I had too much information. But you're going to take these questions, you're going to answer them. You're going to create a style guide. And then you're going to do a small thumbnail version of it. And I didn't even show that today. But the first thing and the most important thing is to answer your questions and start planning what it's going to look like. Okay. And then I will do another video later and I will post it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. You're going to basically take the thumbnail that you did and you're going to make a smaller thumbnail of it and playing with all of the things that you're creating in your style guide and what that might look like. Okay. So you're going to play with creating different versions of what that might look like, but not as a finished illustration, as a little tiny thumbnail, just like the way that we were doing with the cats, that you were trying those things out. You're going to do those little things, but with your illustration. Okay. And it's all in service of what it's going to look like eventually. And this is a place where you can play with your thumbnail in terms of the color, in terms of the value, and all those things. You're going to play, but make it small. All right. Like color roughs. Yes, like color roughs. Okay. But small. All right.